Everyone, what's up? And welcome back for another episode with some pot limit Omaha content. As you can see, we are back on party poker, battling it out. The action is busy right now, so we're playing it right away while talking to all of you here. It is right now 2:30 p.m. and we're gonna see what's happening. On the top right, we did ISO raise here versus a limper. And on this flop, I think I'm going to start off with a check and go from there, basically. Good turn. We're betting. And yeah, we're playing 4 tables. We got 2 cent, 5 cent on the bottom right, as well as 2 cent, 5 cent top left. And then we got 2 5 cent, 10 cent top right, bottom left, basically. So yeah, we're going to go from there. Top left, we check. We call pre-flop, and now we flop top 2 pair backdoor flush draw. Pretty marginal hand, but I still think I want to check raise here. We do have some check calls with top 2 pair, but here we still have like the backdoor flush draw. We got some backdoor straight draws. This is not a great card, so I'm going to check. And yeah, let's see what happens there. The board gets worse and worse. The ace, much better for his range. We are still have 2 pair. I think we're checking, but it's almost close whether or not we want to turn our hand into a bluff. But I'm not sure how credible it actually is. So I'm just going to check fold the river. So yeah, this is part 5 already. And I hope you all enjoy it. So far, the feedback has been pretty positive. So I plan to make a couple more of these and yeah, see how that goes. In the meantime, make sure to always think actively and critically where you're playing, when you're playing. Like, there's different times throughout the day where its plays are much better, basically, like a position is weaker. For example, in my place where I live in Holland, if I play at night, of course, like, there are much more recreational players playing than, for example, it is the case in the middle of the day, like it is now. Obviously, we're playing low stakes, micro stakes, so it's not that the world champion of online poker is sitting at these tables, but it's still very relevant. So keep that all in mind. Think about it like a professional if you take it seriously, and there's always an edge to be gained. Also, if you have any questions about where to play, when to play, then make sure to contact myself or contact me either below in the comment section here or contact me on Discord, and I can definitely help you out or get you yourself in contact with someone who knows a lot about topics like where and when to play, basically. Bottom right, we bet flop, and on the turn, I'm going to shut down with my queen of diamonds or queen of clubs, and we now... We have, how much showdown value do we have? We still have ace queen, so we still win against a queen, which is definitely part of his calling range. Like, that call is pretty bad on the flop. Top pair with a pair in his hand, a backdoor flush draw, yes, but for the rest, it's very, very marginal. So I don't recommend doing that. Always keep in mind, especially when you're out of position, like, how is your playability going to be over future streets? So if you call, basically take a passive action on a current street, like, think about how does your hand play out on the majority of turns and rivers? How does your hand play if you face a double barrel? And whenever that answer and whenever those situations are more marginal and more problematic, it's often much better to just fold your hand right away. Because you will just lose money, basically, by calling the current street and then folding the next street very often. So keep those things in mind. Let's see what... If we find some interesting spots today, maybe some cool triple barrel spots. I actually worked on a couple of triple barrel episodes in the Crushing Small Stakes course, which is my personal course in the PLO Mastermind. And yeah, we had a lot of cool takeaways there. And I hope to implement some of them today or in future episodes, of course. If you want to learn more about the PLO Mastermind or the Crushing Small Stakes PLO course also, get in contact with myself or contact me on Discord, which is our platform where over 1,000 people are actively talking poker and PLO strategy or other poker related topics basically. And yeah, you're welcome. It's all free, and get in there if you aren't already. Top right, this hand is a fold. I get the question quite often, like how to study pre-flop or how to work on my pre-flop game. And it's all about getting your hands on the right resources, right? Find ways to learn pre-flop, like what's out there. There's software, there are poker strategy courses, there are pre-flop charts, there are communities where you can discuss pre-flop strategy, and pick the ones that you believe work the best for you, where you want to invest in, and then stick to that for a while and see how that progresses. Like this hand is a fold, 3 hearts, king high suit. We're playing high rig environments, so don't overvalue those hands. Bottom left, definitely opening. And top left, we probably end up playing as well. Pretty nice hand, especially if you are guaranteed being in position. This is a very interesting flop on the top left. We don't have any showdown value. We do have the nut flush. We do have a gutter. We do have the 7 blockers to 10-7. And because we don't have any showdown value, we can really go either way here. Like, I don't mind going for a bet, just because if we hit, we can manage to win a super big pot, of course. If we get check raised, we're obviously not too happy. Top left, we raise pre-flop and we fold now. Here we are checking on a board that is definitely good for his range. Here we will go for, I think we're betting here. Just because we are well connected around the 8, we got a lot of backdoors. And on this turn, we are going to double barrel. We pick up equity. We have a blocker with the 6. We are going to bet this sizing. I would also bet ace-5, 5-6, of course. This is not too great, but we have absolutely no showdown value. Yes, he will have some 5 high straights. Let's see what he does. We have the clubs, which is not great, but I think we can still foul out some 2 pair hands. We are going for it just because we are at the absolute bottom of our range, like 10 high. And we will get called sometimes here by a straight, maybe even a 2 pair hand, like he does call with 2 pair. Which is fine. That will happen sometimes. Don't get upset about it or anything. Just think about it like you need to find enough bluffs. Your range will have some value hands there. And you will just put your opponent in a tough spot by making that bet, basically. Here he snap called with ace-8, probably standard. Because he's also quite high in his range. Open raising top right, also pretty standard. 3 Broadway cards. Like on the button, you want to raise like a lot of ace-king, ace-queen hands, and then 3 Broadway cards are almost always a raise, just because you have a lot of blockers to 3-betting ranges and therefore more fold equity pre-flop. Flopping trips, pretty nice. The small blind should have also a decent amount of king X. We will have a lot of air also on a board like this. I don't mind checking back here just because it's hard to get value, first of all. And secondly, we need no protection. Like we do bet now because there's a flush draw out there. Bottom right, it gets checked through all the way. And now we have like 2 pair with a straight blocker. Not sure if it seems very thin to bet. On the other hand, like he does check 3 times or 2 times. Might be a check call here. Open raising here, pretty standard as well. This is a fold on the top left. And top right, this board is better for my range because my opponent won't have many 2 pairs or sets here, and we have more top pairs basically. On the other hand, like we don't have the greatest runouts, so we can bet, we can check here, I would say. I'm going for a bet. Top left, we are bottom left actually, we're calling a squeeze here. And against a pot size raise here, I'm just going to fold. I have much better hands to continue with. Against a set, I'm pretty dead. And I don't think he will have too many bluffs, really, on a board like this. Bottom left, we do have 2 pair now. Going to bet small. See what happens. We can fold out some equity. We can get called maybe even by some weaker hands still. This is not a great river. And we will fold. Top, bottom right, we ISO raise. And we now face a bet, which we will fold against, even though we have 2 backdoor flush draws. Top right, ace, queen, queen, deuce, definitely an open raise. Might do some higher stakes in the near future as well. If you guys are interested in that, of course, then let me know. We got a couple of regulars here like Omaha, Heisenberg. These guys are sitting on most of these tables. I've also seen them before in previous episodes. So try to make some notes, some color coding. Use whatever is available, basically. Here against the limper from early position, I do go and raise it up. I would also raise this from the cutoff, for example. Like this happens a lot, so keep that in mind. Like if you ISO raise, like people behind you will just come along super often also. This is not too great. Bear top 2. We do have a gutter, but he pots. Like the SPR on the turn. It's a shame that we don't have a backdoor flush draw, for example. Would help because we can stack off on more turns. I think against a lead 3-way, I don't mind going for a fold. Seems tight, but on the other hand, like if he has jack, queen, jack, we are drawing very thin. If he has like a set, we do very poor. If he has like a pair and a flush draw, we don't have that much equity either. Or we don't, we aren't that much ahead, basically. That's what I'm saying. So those very marginal hands, it's totally fine to just mug them. They are close EV anyway. With the backdoor flush, I would have definitely called that one. Here we do fold. Decent hand to cold call here. We got nuttiness. We are somewhat connected. And we flop a gutter, but that's it. So we're folding. And here, I will 3-bet. This guy seems pretty loose. Flop middle pair gutter. I think I start off with a check. Against a little over half pot. We got someone behind, but I think he's pretty weak. Still, we have a lot of better hands in our range, of course. I am going to call one time. Top right, we bet, and we're continuously barreling now. And here, we don't have a diamond, which is unfortunate. I'm thinking about leading here. We have an easy fold now, but leading here isn't too bad, really. We do have some check calls with like straights. The nuts change, which is beneficial for the caller very often. This one I'm folding. This guy seems pretty wide, so my fold equity is lower. Keep in mind that fold equity pre-flop is extremely important. Often the reason for raising or playing a hand in the first place. Good board for my range here, but my hand totally missed. Like we don't have a diamond, we don't have a backdoor flush draw, we don't have a gutter. So I'm just going to check and then go from there. Check turn. And on the river, we have trips now. I think we have a fine enough hand now to bet. We do get called by a flush that he checks back 3 times, which he played fine. I can still get value from like King X there. We flop middle and bottom set. No straight draw, no backdoor flush draw, of course, because we do have both sets. And this is actually one of the sets we play often passively because runouts are tricky. Like if we bet and get called, like there are so many rivers, turns and rivers basically where I cannot bet. That is helpful to first see a turn or a river before really putting in money, basically. And now, like we could raise, just because there are a lot of draws out there, but at the same time, the same problem will happen, and even more with the flush draw now. So I am actually calling only, not raising. And on the river, we are going to bet. We don't have... I'm going to check, actually. I do think we are ahead there. Betting top right, bottom right. And I will continuously barrel here. Pot turn, see what happens on the river. We will triple. Two flush draws missed. We got blockers to king, queen. And we do get called down by 9-8 and some other crap. Look at this hand, guys. Look at this beautiful hand. Jack 9-8 deuce. And then check call 3 times. Pretty nice. Bottom left, we check back the straight. And we will bet now turn. And we face a fold. Yeah, this is what you will see a lot. I don't know here. Just gonna fold. Like, look at this hand. So did he limp pre-flop or what happened? So he limps pre-flop and then check calls, check calls, check calls with, yeah, that's okay. We got aces bottom left, and in the meantime, a rundown on the bottom right. Let's call this one table 4. 2, 3, 4. We flop a rep, so very nice flop for our hand. We are definitely betting. Bottom left, we will check. Yeah, this is interesting because he can definitely have some 10-9. But yeah. If he would have checked, I would probably check back here just because I don't have any diamond. Although it might be close. Just curious what he has. Not that I expect ever to win, of course. But he does have the nut flush there. So what did he have? Ace is 10-3. I think he played it fine. He could check raise the turn. So we're not doing too well today, guys. Which will also happen, of course. No worries. We run into people's top of ranges. Our bluffs miss. We maybe make a couple of mistakes. Like, all these things will happen occasionally from session to session. So just focus on playing the best each hand. Don't think too much about some of those missed spots. And just try to do your best again every hand that will come. This hand is a fold. Ace, King, Jack, 8. Like, some people overvalue this, especially if you're new to PLO. But rainbow versions like this are very marginal. Opening it from the button is totally fine. But otherwise, it's a hand you will often fold with, basically. And right now, there's quite a bit of action, actually, on party poker, regular tables. They are running from 2 cent, 1 cent, 2 cent, all the way up to like, yeah, well, mid stakes, high stakes, basically. So party is definitely doing a good job when it comes to facilitating a lot of action. Folding this one, top right. Bottom right. Against a limp, I'm actually just folding. And this one I also fold with the deuce 9 in my hand. Pretty marginal combination. Could be an open raise for sure. In general, playing a little bit on the tighter end. If you play here, especially if you're new or not that experienced yet, is definitely a good strategy. Just play strong, good hands. Let your opponent make the mistakes. Don't bring yourself in too many awkward spots. Close here. I think folding is fine without a 6, without a 7, without a blocker to boats, without additional equity to any of the flush draws or to the flush draw, without a straight draw. We will also have a lot of aces there. We just have many better hands to continue with, basically. So I don't mind folding that. Bottom left, I would call against the limp. And here we will check. We do turn a gutter. And we have a spade in our hand. We don't have a 4 or a 7, but with the 7, I think I'm going for a bet here. It's unlikely they have a straight at this point. I don't have showdown value, and I do have a blocker with some equity. So all these things together make a hand like that fine enough to bet. Keep in mind those subtle things, right? Like these subtle bluffs, these subtle bets, like that is where the value is very often. It's not necessarily the large pots that will make the biggest difference. Top right, is this a 3-bet single suited? I don't really know, to be honest. Just gonna call. Here we have a gutter, which I will call. We turn a pair and blockers to the straight. Top left is very light. He seems a little bit tight. We are betting, and here we're potting twice now with our blockers. We also bet big with the straight very often. We could check back here, by the way, but I think my hand blocks quite a bit of his check raising range. Top left, we call a 3-bet. Not a good board. He does check. Interesting card or interesting board because we do have some backdoors. If we bet, we have no showdown value. We don't have any blockers. But on the other hand, if we get check raised, it's also not the end of the world, of course. So I think we have a decent combination to bet and potentially bet on a few of the turns. This is not one of them. We have a jack now, but I'm going for a check now, I think. Yeah, without a 10 or a 9. Doesn't seem too great. I wonder what I want to do here. I think I'm potting. We unblock all the pairs and sets from the board. Top right, bottom right, of course. Sorry. Not sure about the sizing. I think it's fine. But it's interesting to have a look at some point. Open raising king, jack, jack, 8. We flop an overpair and we are very disconnected for the rest. We will just check and go from there. Very small bet, like we have to continue a lot here, so I will just call. You can still have some one pair hands with a draw, for example, that we are ahead of. This is a bad turn, bad river. And we're going to fold. I'm going to sit out on all the tables because we are 30 minutes in and that will be the length of these episodes. Hope you enjoyed this one. Again, make sure to use the comments if you have any questions or hit me up on Discord. Happy to have a chat there, of course, with myself, with other poker players. And let me know what you guys would like to see. I definitely have a couple of ideas about other topics as well here for YouTube. And I'm always open for some suggestions, of course. We're playing this one, 10, 10, 6, 6. And we got a call like this. This happens a lot, right? You will probably know that if you play these games, like all these multi-way pots. We flop top set. Very interesting. It's not a board that I'm going to bet a lot on. It's also not a hand that if I bet and get called, like a lot of the turns are easy to play. So I'm checking in the hope to check raise. And it seems that we get the opportunity. Like a lot of people will bet this, but keep in mind that if you bet and get called, like there are so many straights that will arrive on the turn that you don't do well on. And like against a pot size bet, I'm just going to check raise and we're going to get the money in very likely. Against 2 pair and a straight draw, and we're doubling up, which is nice. It's a good ending of the session, guys. It's a very nice ending. Let's see what he was holding. He had 8, 7, 6, 5, so bottom 2 pair and a straight draw. I think it's close for him on the flop, whether he wants to bet or check. The problem with betting is if he gets raised, like he's in bad shape because he's up against the set, up against like a pair and a rep, up against 2 pair and a straight draw. He will just be dominated extremely often. I think people will overvalue these hands quite a bit. So I wouldn't mind him to see this hand playing more passively, basically. But this is fine also. Guys, this is going to be it. Take care. Have a great day. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Highly appreciate it. And I hope to see you back soon with another episode. Take care. Bye-bye.